another Mongolian win takes the 72nd running of the Manitoba Derby. Welcome everybody to ASD Live Special Breeders' Cup Saturday edition. 9 action-packed races coming to you from Keeneland. Guys, coming into this Saturday edition, rolling pick 4s, pick 5s, pick 6s. The bets are limitless today. What's your take on that, Marshall?
Yeah, that's a good segue. I was going to talk a bit about the wagering menu for Saturday. Saturday being the main course to the Breeders' Cup, Friday being the appetizer with 5 races. So we got a 9 race card on Saturday. From a betting standpoint, we've got rolling pick 4s essentially, certainly rolling pick 3s, rolling doubles. From the bet minimum side of things, we've got a $1 minimum for win, place, and show, daily double, exacta, pick 6, and then the special double if you're betting Friday to Saturday races. We've got 60-cent trifectas, pick 3s, pick 4s, pick 5s, and the jackpot super high 5, and then we've got 20-cent superfectas, which is different from over the years where you've had to play $1 minimum, so you can really spread out in the 3rd and 4th legs. One other thing I want to mention, Kurt, is that there are mandatory payouts on Saturday in the pick 5 and the pick 6 and the jackpot super high 5 in the last race. So it will get paid out. There could be a carryover from Friday to Saturday, but it will be paid out on Saturday. And those are big pools we're talking about. So if you're playing, good luck.
And that's why we have you here, Marshall, for all our stats and all our information. Great job on that. Okay, let's kick it off right now. Race number 4, the filly and mare sprint, going 7 furlongs on the dirt. 9 will head postward. Who do you like in here, Marshall?
This, at first I thought was a pretty tricky race, and then I started to dig a little deeper, and I came out with pretty much a standout. I know there'll be a horse that I think will be a false favorite in here. That's Gamine, the 2, the 3-year-old. The 3-year-olds haven't fared that well in this race historically. Having said that, we saw Kofefi win last year as a 3-year-old. She was ultra impressive. Gamine, up until her last race, was ultra impressive as well. She's getting back to 1 turn today, but I think those wins aren't quite as battle-tested as the horse that I like in here, and that's the speed of the speed in my book, Serengeti Empress. I think this horse could get loose. Those last 2 races are just off the charts for me. That last race at Churchill Downs, 43 and change to the half. Well, actually, both of her last 2 races, 43 and change to the half, and sticks around in that last race. We're almost refusing to let Bell's the One go by. I thought that was such a game race. I think today, if she does get a loose lead or gets a breather at all, she will be very difficult to run down. So I used Serengeti Empress on top. I used Bell's the One, the 9 horse for second, a win machine, 2 wins out of 4 starts at Keeneland, which I like. Training well going into the race. Could get a good race shape, obviously. Good pace to run into. And then I use the 8, the deep closer, Sally's Curlin, to come third. I think, if we see an all-out duel, Gamine in the midst of Biz, Serengeti's Empress, Venetian Harbor, sure, the 8 has a shot at the top spot. Otherwise, I think she's used better underneath. So let's kick things off on Saturday with 7, 9, 8.
Okay, what about you, Stretch?
All right, of course, Stats Marshall comes up with the stats and just steals my stats, which is, I should expect that. I like this race. I'm going to open up with a bit of a long shot. Marshall's touched on it. I think there is potentially going to be a duel. The 2 is impressive with those wins, but I think this is a step up in class. This 8, you have to watch the replay, especially the finish of the replay. First of all, the 8 was extremely far back. But the key to this horse is watch how this horse passes both the horse 7 and 9 in the race after the wire. Marshall made a great point on the 7. and the 9, where the 9 basically just nipped the 7 at the wire, but didn't actually go by. And so the 9 absolutely made a huge move late, no question, full credit. But I thought watching the replay, the horse would have gone by and didn't. That's how game the 7 is. Whereas the 8 actually got by both of them a little too far back. The horse is actually working out quite well. I do need a bit of help on the duel. Even if you look 2 back and 3 back on this horse, very good sneaky races in there closing. The key also watching the Friday races, is it speed holding day, or you do have to adjust. You're going to get a look at all the races on Friday, see how that changes for the Saturday, and potentially adjust. If it's speed holding, watch out, don't be betting my top selection. And I've got the other ones mentioned in there. A quick mention on the 3. This is a horse I touted last year. And didn't run very well at all at Santa Anita. I'm going to give it one more chance because I'm going to get a price, and you never know. Its race shape sets it up. Might outjump my 8. So I've got it 8, 7, 9, and 3.
Yeah, I think that Serengeti Empress does get the lead in here, but only for about 3/8 of a mile. The one thing is that Marshall and Stretch also, these horses ran on the same day, Gamine and Serengeti Empress. Gamine actually went a faster end time, almost a full second, which is 5 lengths. But the early fractions, Serengeti Empress would have had a 5-length early lead. So what happens here? Does Gamine, who's never had dirt kicked in the face, go after Serengeti Empress and now pressure it? I think by a half mile, these two will be nose and nose. Doesn't matter which way you look at it. If you look at the internal fractions, 43 and 3, 108 and 1. That race at Saratoga, that was a great one. Also at Saratoga on the same day, they went 108 and 3. So there, after the 6 furlongs, these two were battling it out. But then Gamine finished better than Serengeti Empress. But I think Gamine's going to go after Serengeti Empress, so that's going to set up for the closer, and that's why I went to Bell's the One. Sure, it just got up by a little bit, but Serengeti Empress had a little bit left, didn't really battle that hard. But Gamine wanting the front end, as she has in her previous races, I think she's going to chase a little bit harder, rack those fractions up. They might just rattle around there. So I'm looking at Bell's the One to come rallying down. Gamine, I still think this horse did not want to go the distance. 7 furlongs, perfect. Those races, yes, they look inflated, but the times were absolutely stellar. And the way she did it, if she would have went a little bit harder, times would have been faster, numbers would have been better, but she was just freewheel coasting. I think this is an absolute great race to start off Saturday, but I'm taking Bell's the One to beat Gamine and Serengeti Empress to finish my top 3. So I took 9, 2, and 7. Marshall, what's your bet of the race?
Well, I'm going to do an exactor wheel. I'm going to use the 7 on top, $10 wheel, 7 with 1, 3, 8, 9.
What about you, Stretch?
I've got a couple bets in here. I'm going to start with a $4 exactor box, boxing 7, 8, 9. I've got 10 to win, only 10 to win on the 8, but if I have a good day on Friday, Kurt, double that to 20. 20 win on the 8 in case. If not, it might be $5.
Yeah, might have to go for that car change.
Oh,
well, let's hope not in race number 4, because there's 8 more races after. I simply went 20 to win on Bell's the One. I think I'm going to get all of that 6 to 1 on the board, and that's good enough for me. So I'm going to hope that the two of them go battle it out. Gamine picks up the pieces, so straight 20 to win. Good luck in the filly and mare sprint. On to race number 5. The Turf Sprint. They're going to go 5.5 furlongs. A field of 14 are going to head postward, and Stretch, you're going to start it.
Well, thank you for letting me start on the toughest race
No
on the card.
problem, buddy, anytime.
Which I think is the toughest. We've got 14 on the turf, going short. Who's going to get the trip? who's going to kind of get lucky here. I can't take a stand here. There'll be some price plays. We'll see what the other guys have here. I kind of think that there's a duel with the 1 and 2 setting it up for some closers, and that's where I'm going to start to go with that. I'm going to start with the 7 horse, going with the horse for the course and the distance. 7 of 8 in the money at 5.5, including 5 wins. 4 for 4 at Keeneland in the money with 3 wins. Should get the stalking trip. Shouldn't be too far back. Has the figures. Has the right post. I need a trip, of course. I'm just using kind of logic in this one, which sometimes you don't want to use on these 14-horse fields, but that's where I've got to go with. The 12 horse is my next choice in here. I don't like the outside post as much, but again, I like that the horse can suddenly start to go short. Yes, it is a filly going against the boys, but she has beaten the boys before, so I'm not too worried about that. I liked what I saw in the closing kick to suddenly accelerate. They might have even called lunged at the wire. Yeah, lunged right up there. Not a term you usually use, but the charter did in that one. And then kind of my long shot in here is the 11. Improving horse. Couldn't beat the 1 last time because it was a controlling speed. I don't think you're going to get that. This horse is 7 of 8 in the money with 3 wins. Probably not as good as the top 2, but again, it's going to be a nice price going from there. One other quick note on the 3 horse, another closer, just likes to win and has won at Keeneland. So I've got it 7, 12, 11.
Okay, what about you, Marshall?
This is a very tough race, very wide open. I think it's going to depend on who gets the trip for sure. Having said that, from a race shape standpoint, I don't see a ton of speed in here. I think the 2 Just Might looks like the speed. I think Leinster, the 7, will get a good stalking trip just off the 2's flank. But if the 2's just allowed to carve out fractions all on his own, could be tough. The horse that I went to on top, though, is actually a Euro. That's Glass Slippers. Horse has never raced around a turn before, so could bolt, could not to do well around the turn for sure, but I'm getting decent odds, and at 12-1 on the morning line. And look at the horse's record at the distance. I mean, basically 8 starts sprinting, 4 seconds, 4 wins, 3 seconds. This is a proven Group 1 sprinter from Europe. If this horse breaks well, I think that we could definitely see this horse getting on top. So for me, I used the 6 on top. I used one of the mares. There's 2 mares in here. The 12 Got Stormy and the 8 Alexandra, both closers. Got Stormy is an incredible horse, obviously the class of the field. This horse has reinvented herself as a sprinter after being a champion miler. Is 2 for 2 now at the distance, or at sprinting rather. 1 for 1 at the 5.5 furlong marker. So I think Got Stormy's got a legit shot in here. Will be on the outside, so again has to have a decent trip. And I used the 7 Leinster again for 3rd. I think this horse will get a good trip. Likes the distance, likes the course. 6, 12, and 7. Kurt?
Yeah, I don't see a lot of speed in this race. As you guys said, Big Runner and Just Might, the 1 and 2, look like the speed of the race. Big Runner's been running a lot better since it's got the blinkers on 3 outs ago, 3 straight wins. But Just Might has been showing speed every single time. And if you look at Just Might, this horse has been there every single time except for 3 outs ago. 3 outs ago, a horrific trip where the horse checked at the quarter pole, lost all chance, was out the back door. Besides that, this horse is knocking on the door every single start, 6 for 8 in the money with 2 wins. The horse has never won at Keeneland, but loves the distance also. And without there being a lack, with there being a lack of speed in here, I just think that Just Might could go out and carve some fractions, and they won't be suicide fractions. They're only going 5.5 furlongs. Usually in these these races, you'll see 3, 4, 5 horses all with early speed. Well, there isn't. There's only 2 of them. So if they can get the early breather in the first half of the race, the second half of the race, they're going to have to play catch up any of those closers. So I took a shot on Just Might to hit the front end and just carry that speed. And I think this horse can hang around for a big piece of it because it can fight every step of the way with those back-to-back with third place finishes. Both of those were really good efforts and battling efforts. If the horse shakes free, I think it could wire the field. I also like Leinster. This horse has done very well at Keeneland, winning 3 out of 4, the other being a second place finish, and at the distance has won 5 out of 8. Last year in the Breeders' Cup, didn't fare so well, 7th beaten 4 lengths, but I think that might have been Santa Anita that was the downfall, that turf course. But in Keeneland, this horse absolutely loves it, has a stalking running style, not too far away. As I said, I don't think there's going to be a lot of pace, so I'm taking horses that are going to be close. So I think the 7 is going to be right there, and number 12, Got Stormy. Gotta like this horse, an absolute win machine. Won 4 last year out of 8 starts, 2 out of 7 this year, has won at the distance, has won at Keeneland. A lot of my handicapping, if they won at the racetrack, I got to play that into it. It's a big difference going from course to course, and if you won on it, at least you know that the horse likes it. So those are my 3. I'm taking 2, 4, and 12. Okay, Stretch, what's your bet of the race?
Okay, as kind of mentioned here, I don't trust the race that much, so I just a small exactor wheel, $3 one, 7 with 7, 11, 12 with 3, 7, 11, 12. I'm hoping there's a duel. Guess we'll find out.
Okay, what about you, Marshall?
Okay, well, I'm going to play my first pick 3 of the day. By the way, Kurt, that's bold, man, picking a 30-1 shot to win the race.
Not a problem, buddy.
I like your analysis. In fact, I'm going to include your 2 horse in my pick 3. So I've got a $1 pick 3. Keep in mind, you can also play 60-cent pick 3s as well. So dollar pick 3, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 12 with 1, 5 with 4, 6, 7, 11. Dollar ticket will cost you $48. As you can see, I've spread out in that first leg.
And me, this is one of the wagers I like making on these days. If you do like a long shot, you can whittle it down and take like 5 horses for first and second. Only costs you $10, but then you get another long shot to go with it. The exactor will pay somewhere between $500 and $1,000 for a dollar ticket. So I'm simply doing 2 with all with 2, $1 exactor wheels. Gonna cost you $26 in this 14-horse field. Good luck with all your wagers here in the Turf Sprint. On to race number 6, the Dirt Mile. A field of 12 will head postward. And Marshall, you're gonna tell us who you like in here.
Okay, you know, the Dirt Mile at Keeneland is a little bit different than other dirt miles because they don't usually run mile races at Keeneland, and what that means is that the inside post positions have an advantage because the starting gate is 110 yards from the first turn. So if you're a speed horse and you're on the outside, you're likely going to be hung out to dry, and that's what I think one of the favorites' complexity will be, the 10 horse. So I've gone to another speed horse in here, and that's Nick's Go. I think this horse has, well, he's done no wrong this year. He's got 2 out of 4 wins at Keeneland, so he's proven over the surface. Again, Brad Cox, 3 Breeders' Cup wins. Ever since this horse moved from the Ben Colebrook barn over to Brad Cox, he's undefeated, and he looks like he's improved significantly just based on buyers. 20-point improvements in the last race. He's stepping up, obviously, but he's been an in and outer before. He looks like he's an inner now, and I think this is a horse that will probably take some action, but I think he could be tough if he gets the lead. And obviously he's going to get some pressure, but he's got a pretty high cruising speed. Now the other horse I like in here is the 1 Art Collector. Don't know what happened last time out in the Preakness. Didn't hear about any excuses, but certainly didn't run his race after being very impressive throughout the year. 3-year-old facing older for the first time. It is late in the year though. 5 for 10 in terms of wins to starts. Has a nice bullet coming into this race. Should get a dream trip on the inside and get first run. So Art Collector is a second choice for me. Could definitely see him winning. And then I used the 9, Mr. Freeze. This horse has a good record at the distance, a good record at Keeneland. He's got back numbers that say he can actually win this race. I think he'll get a good stalking trip, and he's making his 3rd start off the layoff. Bit of a long shot to throw into the mix, but I think you want to be close up stalking, and I think we could see a big race out of him as well. So 5-1-9.
Okay, what about you, Stretch?
Yeah, I like this race. This is one of the better ones I do like on the card today. I went with the 1 as my top pick. Has the solid figures. That last race looks worse than it actually is, the 4th beat and 10. The figures were very high on that race, and you just look at who the horse lost to. Remember that horse later on and where that horse ends up running against. So I don't think it was that bad of a race, so I'm not concerned about that. I wish the race was going a mile and a 16th, just to give us a little more time. Horse should get a nice trip on the rail. Marshall made a good point on you want to be just on the quick turn. Morning line is 6-1. Unfortunately, I think we're going to get lower to 4-1, but it's just a play I do like quite a bit. I ended up going with the 2 as kind of a bit of a price play. 2 back, good figures, usually runs on the turf, but did have a nice race, and I just think the horse will get overlooked. It does like going a mile. I know it's on the turf, but it is still a mile. It's a search for a price in there. I just couldn't leave it out. Marshall talked all about the 5. I agree with him for sure. I could have him up a little higher. I just thought the price might be a little too short, and I took a shot on a bit better price on the 1. The last one, a horse that likes kind of to win, is the 8. I've just included that, but my top pick is the 1, so I've got it 1, 2, 5, 8.
Seeing myself in here, I had a tough time with this race, just figuring out how it's going to set up. Knicks Go has speed. We have Pirates Punch and Complexity. All of them have some gas to offer to the race. Will they carry it all the way? I don't think it'll happen. Knicks Go, I think, is testing much tougher in here. Complexity, I think, will just heat up that pace. And Pirates Punch has been right there every time, even though it did come off the pace a couple lengths in its last start. So I think there is going to be some battle. But I went to number 12, Owendale. This horse likes Keeneland, likes the distance, gets to cut back to the mile today. Ran a good race last time out, but banged it out on the front end. I don't think the horse wanted to be there. So it was a tougher race for it. Every time it's been closing has run so much better. Draws the outside. I don't think that's going to be a problem, because it doesn't have a ton of speed and it doesn't need the lead, so it should be able to just settle back in. I don't even mind if it sits towards the back of the field and makes a big late brush at the end, but I like Owendale as a little bit of a long shot on the outside at 8-1. I also like number 8, Pirates Punch. Here's another long shot to throw in. Comes out of a grade 3. Where it was disqualified 2 outs ago, but then made amends last time out, where the horse sat off of it, overtook, and then drew off to win by 2. This horse is a bit of a win machine in the last 2 years, winning 5 out of 14 starts. I like that it's 2 for 3 at the distance, has run at Keeneland already, only 1 time. Those Monmouth races, well, they probably won't make you want to bet it, but the previous races at Churchill, Oaklawn Park, those definitely make this horse bettable. I think it's a horse that's improving, so another one with a good long shot angle and complexity with that outside speed. This horse comes to play each and every time, very lightly raced, so only 3 starts, 2 wins and a second, so I think that one will round out my top 3. I'm taking 12, 8, and 10. Marshall, what's your your bet of the race?
Well, I'm going to kick off a pick 4 in here, guys. I feel pretty confident about this race with the 1 and 5, so I'm taking 1 and 5. Then I'm spreading out in the second leg with 4, 6, 7, 11, 14. I've got a key in the sprint, that's the 10 horse, and then I'm coming home with 6 horses, hopefully. 1, 2, 4, 6, 9, 11.
Okay, what about you, Stretch?
All right, I'm just singling a horse here at $20 to win on the 1. I'm hoping the value, and then I like to double my place bet. There is a lot of horses in here. If there's a bit of trouble, I'm going to make some money even if you run second. So 20 win on the 1, 40 place 1.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Place bets and show bets usually you don't really get value on them, but definitely in the Breeders' Cup, you do get value. You're going to get those $4 show prices on horses that pay $8 to $10, which is a great double your money bet. If you're a blackjack player, you'll kind of like that. But me, I don't see this as being an easy race, so I did a little bit of a spread. I went the exactor box, 3, 8, 9, and 12. $2 exactor box will cost you $24. Good luck in the dirt mile. Next up, race number 7, filly and mare turf. They're going to go 1 mile and 3/16, and a field of 14 will head postward. Stretch, start us off.
Okay, when a trainer, Chad Brown, has basically a third of the horses in this race, he's going to have a pretty good idea of race shape, or at least kind of give his instructions to the various jockeys and go from there. I think there's going to be some pace to run at, because you're not going to let Chad's not going to let one of the horses that's not his go to a loose lead, or let somebody go loose when he's got some of the closers. So because of that, I kind of think the 6 is going to press the 4, and if that happens, is at least how I think it potentially, I've got to find the closers. It's going to change if you don't think there's a duel, and my picks are going to kind of look silly if there is no duel. So I'm going to start with horse number 10. I've been following this horse from very first start and just watching all the races, and been fortunate enough to tail him on there because he's been winning so many races. He keeps getting better and better. I think the horse is going to get a nice trip again. It did get a good trip last time. The horse just seems to get better. I think we could potentially see her best race of her career, and so that's why I've got that horse on top. I could have taken the 5 on top. She is a win machine. She did have a worse trip than the 5 in the last time, the 10. I'm sorry, in the last race. But if you take note, a lot of times she seems to find trouble, and so we'll need a kind of a clean trip in there again, and we'll find out if she has a clean trip. She certainly can beat my 5. Can't forget the Euros in here, as Marshall's talked about before. I think for me the best one is the 11 horse in here, and what I've got there is very versatile. If you look at the running lines, I haven't watched all the replays of this horse, but I just like that the horse, it'll be interesting to see where the horse sits, but a horse that can do all of that certainly is talented. I like that the horse 9 of 12 in the money, which is very solid in there. The 2 it has the back class. I think is on a bit of a decline, but if this horse runs back from a year ago, it would be very tough. So I'll leave it at 10, 5, 11, and I don't want to leave out Sister Charlie too.
Okay, what about you, Marshall?
So this race has been won by either a Euro or Chad Brown the last 9 years. So if I do the math, I've got 4 Chad Brown trained horses and 4 Euros. So I'm going to start there, basically. I'm going to pick from those.
So you're going to take 8 of them?
No, I'm going to narrow it down.
Okay.
But I'm going to start there. I'm throwing out the rest of the field, basically. I'm going with the Euros and Chad Brown. So I think one of the Chad Brown horses has a good shot in here, and that's Rushing Fall. This horse last time out, this year has just continued to improve. 5 for 6 at Keeneland, 11 for 14 lifetime. This horse is a genuine win machine, a horse for course angle as well. Last time out, had to run down Mean Mary, who ran a really game race, awfully impressive last time out. Does scare me a bit in here. I will use this horse in my multi-race wagers, the 4. I do think she will be loose again. I do think that the only horse to press will be Rushing Fall. And if they do press, well, I like the Euros quite a bit in here. Stretch mentioned the 11. I've used the 11 for sure. Adaria. This is a top Euro trainer, but this is his first BC starter. But the horse has run some fabulous races over in Europe. The last time out didn't have any pace to run at, still ran a very credible third. 2 back and 3 back, came up with wins. Will get not much of a pace, but will be running late for sure. And then the horse that I like, used on top, the Euro, that's the 7, Terabellum. John Gosden, the trainer, has 5 BC wins. This is a lightly raced horse. 3 wins from 8 starts, 3 wins from 5 starts at the distance. All Group 1s, Group 2s, has raced against Circus Maximus and Half Light, who are not in this race. Circus Maximus is one of my choices in the Breeders' Cup Turf later in the card. So this is a horse that I think has been racing really tough. Second start off the layoff. I think this horse has a great shot in here. So give me 7, 6, 11.
And myself, as you said, not a lot of pace in the race, so I think Mean Mary will get the front end. Chad Brown, does he send Rushing Fall up and they battle it out? Well, if he does that, that decreases the chances of Rushing Fall, so the owners won't like that one to be the sacrificial lamb, so to say. But Mean Mary showed really good speed last time and got the lead easy. So is it going to happen again? I can definitely see it happen again. And Rushing Fall stalks again. It beat it last time. Maybe he might make the move a little bit earlier than last time, but I think it's going to play out the same way. Mean Mary goes to the lead. Rushing Fall chases. There is no other speed in this race at all. These might clear by about 5 under fairly slow fraction. Breeders' Cup slow fractions, but the way Mean Mary ran last time out this year, this thing has been absolutely dynamite. 1, 2 in a row, and then got beat by Rushing Falls. I just think she gets an easy lead in here. She's the one to catch. Rushing Falls chases. These two bang it out to the wire. So I got it as a 2-horse race, 4 and 6. I ended up putting Sister Charlie as my third selection. But just like Marshall said, Sister Charlie used to be an absolute monster in 2019. Maybe still is a monster, but is hitting horses that are peaking at the time. So I'm taking 4, 6, and 2. Okay, Stretch, so what's your bet of the race?
All right, I'm cautiously going here. I've just got a $2 exacta box, 2, 5, 10, 11.
All right, over to you, Marshall.
I'm going to do a $1 try box. You can do a 60-cent try box, just as a reminder, but a $1 try box with 5 horses, 3 Euros, Mean Mary, and a Chad Brown horse. So that's 4, 6, 7, 11, 14.
And myself, I'll be screaming from the word go as I took the 2 speed horses, 4 and 6. I'm just exactor boxing them, $10 exactor box for $20. Good luck in the filly and mare turf. On to race number 8, the Breeders' Cup Sprint. They're going to go 6 furlongs on the dirt. So far, a field of 13, as we were informed. That number 14, Vacoma, was scratched. We won't find out if the also eligible draws in until Saturday morning after vet check. So we are handicapping without lasting legacy, not knowing whether it did draw in or not. So let's head it over to Marshall.
Which is actually good, because 15, you probably would have taken 15. So just to let the viewers know that.
I definitely like those outside horses because they double in price.
Very good.
Triple or quadruple in price.
Sometimes. Okay, Marshall, who do you like?
So the Sprint is generally one of my favorite races. You know, it's basically like watching the 100 meters at the Olympics. The fastest man. This is the fastest thoroughbred on the planet. And this year, I'm a little disappointed. This is sort of a bit of a lackluster running of the sprint, in my opinion. Typically, we've seen California sprinters have an advantage as being the fastest of the bunch. Not so much, I don't think, this year. The horse I went to is on the outside, Yaupon, Steve Asmussen charged horse, who's 4-for-4 lifetime, an improving 3-year-old. It just looks to be getting better and better. Visually impressive in all of his starts. I think there's still more upside to this horse. Love the work, 59-3 breezing coming into the race. And I like the quote I read this week from Asmussen saying that this horse reminds him of Matoli, who we can remember back to last year was an absolute monster and culminated his season and his career, in fact, by winning that race. So if Yaupon can basically get out of the gate, I think he goes right to the lead. I don't think there's anyone in here that can run with him. I think he makes the lead and just basically buries the field. He's a strong play for me. I've keyed him on a number of multi-race wagers. I expect him to go off as the favorite, though, with the scratch of Vekoma at this point. So it won't be a great win bet, but I'll be using him as a single. The other horses I used, the 8 Firenze Fire has a great record at the distance. Here's another horse that has just reinvented himself over the past couple of years sprinting. He's got some numbers that put him right there. He's coming off of a nice win in the Vosburg. I think this is a horse that will be running on late, so I've used him. And then the 11 Diamond Dupes, another hard-knocking horse, has a win at Keeneland, 3-for-5 at the distance. Bit of a road warrior with wins at multiple tracks, so he's definitely playable for me. But again, the 10 horse on top. So give me 10, 8, and 11 in this sprint, Kurt.
Okay, what about you, Stretch?
Okay, I'm going to have to start with my usual warning on the sprint race. I've had the biggest range of success or failure on this race. Unfortunately, I had some back-to-back years ago of horses not finishing the race, so I'm certainly hoping that does not happen to any horses there. I've also had some winners. This is a different race, as Marshall's kind of said. Normally, there's many horses that have to have the lead or need the lead, and I don't think that's the case. Usually you have some crazy fractions and you can almost guarantee the front speed to melt. I don't think that's going to happen. It's going to kind of be a normally run fair fraction race. Marshall's made the good points on the 10. 10 could have been my top pick. I just went for a bit of a price. I was a little disappointed the 14 was scratched because it would have helped my top 2 picks that I think are above the others, and that's the 11. It has one at Keeneland. 3 out of 5 at the distance. Won't be that far off the leaders at all. It gets a repeat, and maybe the 10 regresses a little bit, maybe upset. I'm not going to talk down on the 10 because the horse is. The only way is if there's some rabbits in here that absolutely sacrifice. Probably not going to happen. Another pick in there is the 2 again. Has 2 for 2 at the distance. So kind of if you look back, it ran at Santa Anita last time and you might miss it. So you got to go down 2 races there. Small shot for a 3rd or a 4th trying to get a price is the 8, as I believe Marshall has mentioned about that one as well. 6 out of 11 winning at the distance. So don't leave that horse out. 11.
Yeah, I'm with you. I really like Diamond Oops in here, running competitively in every single start. The Gulfstream Mile and an 8th was too far, and that was the only real blemish out of the last 5 races. Couple wins, couple seconds, great running style, like sitting close, but has also shown it can come from the absolute clouds that it showed when it was running on the turf 2 outs ago at Churchill Downs. So I think Diamond Oops is on the upswing, so definitely a factor in here. I like CZ Rocket also, who's put a nice win string together of 5 in a row, looking for 6. But my long shot in here is number 7, Whitmore. This horse was in the Breeders' Cup Sprint last year, ran a really game 3rd, only got beat by 3 lengths. Last couple outings, didn't fare so well, was 7th beaten 10, then came back with 4th beaten 2 to my pick, Diamond Oops, the 11. But what I like about this horse is 2 outs are on October 25th at Churchill Downs. Look at that workout, 46-4. That's a nice sizzler. It shows that the horse still wants to be in the game, but not only in it, he really wants to compete. I love those bullet moves from horses who usually don't put him out there. They usually work in the 48s and 47s. That 46 is a standout for me. I think with Ortiz aboard, you get a solid rider. So I think Whitmore's my long shot in there. So I'm taking 11, 7, and 2. Marshall, what's your bet of the race?
My bet of the race in here is going to be a pick 5 wheel. I've got a couple of horses that I like in this sequence, so I'm going to take a shot. This time I'm going with a 60-cent pick 5. I'm going to key the 10. I'm going to spread out in the next race with 1, 2, 4, 6, 9. I'm going to spread out in the third leg with 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. Then I'm going to come back with 2 and 3. I'm going to close things off in the Classic with 2, 8, and 10. It's a $90, 60-cent pick 5.
Okay, Stretch, you can tell that he doesn't go for car change when he's going for a $90 60-center.
He does not go for car change, and good for him. He is all in on the 10, so that'll be interesting. And it's a good, not a lot of unknowns in that race, so I can't blame him on that. I just did a $10 exactor box, 10 and 11. I have it those two as the main horses there. Yep, that's it.
And me, I would chase after a pick 3. I went 7 and 11 in here, and then I hit the all button, try and get through that leg, and keying the 10 in the third leg. So that'll cost you $28 for a $1 wheel. Good luck in the sprint. On to race number 9. This is the mile on the turf. A field of 14 have assembled for this one. And Stretch, you're going to start us off.
Okay, so Euros do win this race. There's a couple, as mentioned, that they are not as strong. They do win this race. So I probably should be taking them. I am not taking them because, again, it's a bit of a guess. I liked a couple replays by some North American horses, and I think I kind of know how they're going to run, and I know they're good closers. I think the race shape there's potential of a pace battle up front. I think the 11 horse is the horse that is the now horse. Unfortunately, Marshall used the now horse in the intro on something. I'm using the term now horse. I like the quick turn of foot on this horse. I like that the horse won at Keeneland already. It just looks so impressive on that race. Basically made a move as if the horses were standing still. So yes, the horse will be a little wide, but it just for me just kind of sets up for this horse. I've got to take a shot on this horse, and then if the Euros beat me, they beat me, but I can save it on an exactor box, so that's okay. 14 would have been probably my potentially top pick. Just the closing fractions are huge. I don't like the 14 post, unlike Kurt. But hey, you get the value. This horse, being Chad Brown horse, you may not get as much value as you need. Again, solid closes in here. My top Euro pick is the 2. I like the race. I watched the replay. And quite a bit. Should get a good trip. Has already raced some older horses the last few. Some might say, well, why are you not taking the 1? Because the 1 beat the 2. The 1 beat the 2 earlier in the season. I think the 2's on the upswing. I'm not sure what to do with the 1. The horse is coming back in just over 2 weeks, or maybe 3 weeks with travel, so that kind of concerns me a bit. I know I'm going to get a bit of a price at 6 to 1, so I've got it 11, 14, 2.
Okay, what about you, Marshall?
Okay, well, I like Stretch's top pick, the 11 Ivar. This horse took a race basically to get acclimated to North American racing, and then he's just taken off. He blew by Raging Bull last time down the lane, has an incredible turn of foot. So I'm definitely going to use the 11 in my multi-race wagers, rather. But the top choice for me is a Euro. In fact, my top 3 choices are all Euros. I like Circus Maximus. I think there's a lot of things going for this horse. Listening to a couple of different interviews with Aidan O'Brien, this is his favorite horse in here, even though there's another one that he has, the 3. this is his favorite in here. I like the fact that this horse was at the Breeders' Cup last year. Watch that replay. He finished 4th in this race. He had no shot to run down the lane. I bet this horse last year, I remember. But watch the replay. You'll see he's got a mitt full, Ryan Moore does, has nowhere to run, and then Uni rolls on by on the outside. So you do have to get a trip in this race. He does have speed. I think Ryan will have learned from that experience last year. I think he's totally primed to run a big one. I didn't like the soft ground at Ascot, and was totally shut out in last year's Breeders' Cup. I love him on top. 12-1 I think is great value, so I'm definitely going to be playing him. Other Euro I used in here was the 6, Safe Voyage. This is another horse that 12 wins from 29 starts, has been facing some really tough European runners, so I think this horse definitely has a good shot in here. Has run left-handed as well, which I like to see. And then I used the 2, Kamiko. They've been pointing to this race all along. The trainer has no Breeders' Cup wins, but the horse is lightly raced. Has never won around turns, though. Has only raced on straightaways. So again, bit of an unknown. But if you look at that, those speed figs that this horse ran in that last win, just unbelievable. Jumps off the page. So we'll see how this horse does on the basically on the trip over. Has lost to Circus Maximus before. So again, for me, 1, 6, and 2.
See, I'm with you, Marshall. Circus Maximus, I watched that race. Wow, did he get shut down. That was just racing luck, nowhere to go, dead horses in front. And I think this horse is going to run a big one in here. I also like Ivar. I'm with Stretch saying that this horse is on the improve. A nice win last time out. Raging Bull definitely was the one to beat, but Ivar just made it look too good in there. So those are the ones I'm leaning to. And another one I like to throw in, a little long shot, the other Aidan O'Brien horse. So many times you see I really like this horse, but the other one's just okay. How many times have you seen that okay horse run a big one? I think this one will run good, has some good racing underneath, and I think last time out, the horse ran an even effort, 7th beaten 3. But the additional Lasix, I think, is the key in Europe. Lasix isn't there. Come to North America, we have a Lasix program. I think that can change this horse. And it is a 3-year-old going against older horses. But definitely, this is always the wild race where coming down the lane, you got to get that trip. And I just think that this horse just might be able to get it. And that additional Lasix, I like equipment changes, small ones, or medication changes. So I think the 3 also has a shot. Another horse to maybe throw in, One Master, one of the mares against the boys. I've always been one that really didn't like betting the girls against the boys at all. But I used to watch Australia racing quite a bit. There was a horse out there about 20 years ago, Sunline. Didn't know much about it. Racing from Australia. We never got to see the odds like we do now. And this Sunline horse was just a win machine. She beat everything that went against her. Some of my biggest bets 20 years ago were on Australian racing because I was able to find a website to show the odds, and this Sunline just showed me it does not matter, boy, girl, especially on the grass. And so I think One Master could be a great long shot in here, and that's another one that gets Lasix. So I'm throwing it in as a bottom feeder. So I'm taking 111.3 and I'm throwing the 9 in on the bottom. So bets of the race. Stretch, what do you got?
Okay, so a lot of good points there. I don't think there's any really bottom feeders at the Breeders' Cup, but just maybe bottom of the superfectas. $2 Exactabox, 2, 5, 11, 14.
All right, over to you, Marshall.
I'm going to box all 5 euros in a try. So $1 try box, 1, 2, 4, 6, 9.
And I'm going to $1 exactor box for $20. 5 horses, just 1, 2, 3, 9, and 11. Good luck in the turf. Next up, race number 10. It's the Distaff. 1 mile and an eighth on the dirt. A field of 10 have assembled. And Marshall, take it away.
Yeah, the distaff, they used to call it the Ladies Classic when this was the finale on day one. They've changed the configuration of the Breeders' Cup races over the years. It's still one of my favorite races, regardless of what they call it. This year's edition looks like it's a match race potentially on paper between Monomoy Girl and the Preakness winner, Swiss Skydiver. So you've got a 3-year-old up against a 5-year-old champion mare. Quite the story on Monomoy Girl. Took 2019 completely off racing and to deal with some medical issues. Came back as strong as ever though in 2020. 3 for 3 this year, has looked awesome in each of her starts, training well coming into this race. Definitely a deserving favorite, the horse to beat. I used her on top. I used Swiss Skydiver, the 5 for second. This horse, the only thing that potentially concerns me is the horse maybe could bounce a bit off of that huge effort against the boys. She beat Authentic, of course, in that Preakness. Back in with girls today, and if she runs back to that number, certainly she could win this race. I'll point out a couple of other things. The Harvest Moon, the 2-horse, this is a 3-year-old, an improving 3-year-old, has ascending speed figs in every single one of her starts. Maybe you got Pratt up, he's one of the best North American riders, so something to think about. And then the other horse I looked at was Horologist, the 4. This horse has improved big time since coming to the Mott Barn, has won 2 of her last 3 races, looked great doing it both times, 1 for 1 at the distance. I think this is a horse that I would definitely consider if I go a little bit deeper. But I'm going to take the 10, 5, and the 3 actually. Dunbar Road, Chad Brown, second start off the layoff, was the beaten favorite last time against Horologist. I think the horse will be tighter, get a good trip in here. So give me the 10, 5, 3 in the distaff.
Okay, what about you, Stretch?
Okay, Marshall's covered all the key points. I think it is an incredible match race. We've got the new filly on the block that's going to challenge the champion, and she is certainly a champion. The figures are there. Her figures are actually better right now than the 10s, so that's why I put the 5 on top. Great point on will the horse actually regress a little bit, and that's certainly the only concern I have. If the horse doesn't regress and kind of stays the same, I think the horse certainly can upset the champion. If you just kind of look at the 10, kind of beats up on the horses. You just see 15 cents on the dollar. That always concerns me when you look at that, when the horse is the horse that good? Well, we know she's good, but has she run enough competition? Take a look at who the 5 has run against, and that says it alone. There's a really good spotting here. Kenneth McPeak hasn't won a Breeders' Cup, but has 16 of 31 in the money. So that's, I think he's due to get one. He's just sitting on it. I've got it 5 and 10. A long shot to make it pay is the 9. We'll sit back, will not be involved in anything, and just pick up the pieces late. That's the only way I can get an exactor price, 5, 10, 9.
Yeah, Monomoy Girl, I love this horse. 14 starts, 12 wins, 2 seconds, has never really done anything wrong. Had that gap, but came back and smelling like roses every step of the way. 3 straight wins. Horse has tactical speed. There isn't a lot of speed this race. Looks like Lady Kate, she might be by herself on the front end. But Monomoy Girl won't be far away. Swiss Skydiver won't be far away either. So, but Monomoy Girl, this horse just had won the distaff as a 3-year-old 2 years ago, had that year off, but then came back with just such good races, even though I don't think that company was the best the first 2 times, but last time out, the move she made, she says, I'm legit. And I really like her today. One other loss that she did have, she was disqualified from first, but I think it's her race to lose. I do like Swiss Skydiver, but I'm going to try and get a price somewhere. So that's why I left her out of my top 3. Ollie's Candy, I do like it as a good rallier. This is a horse that hasn't won yet this year, but is 5 for 5 in the money. Ran second at Keeneland, doesn't mind the distance. And I even threw in Lady Kate because she will be the speed. If they let her get some soft fractions in there, she just might run on for a lot longer than everybody thinks. So that's why I ended up with 10, 9, and 6. Swiss Skydiver would have been my fourth choice in here, even though she's probably my second, but I'm just going for prices. So I'm going 10, 9, and 6. Marshall, what's your bet of the race?
Well, you know what? I'm going to play a try box, and I'm actually going to take a shot in here and include some of the horses that I mentioned. I think if the 5 or the 10 runs out, it definitely pays, and if either one of them gets beat, it pays pretty good. So I'm going to box 5 horses in a try: 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. Take a shot.
All right, over to you, Stretch.
A good angle. I'm gonna stick with one of the 2 are going to be in there. I'm going big, $20 exactor wheel, 5 and 10 on top. I know it wouldn't pay that much if it comes 10-5. I'm kind of hoping the 5 beats it. But if the 10 regresses a little bit, hard to believe that. 9's my big long shot to include that Marshall seems to have forgotten. So that's interesting. So $20 exactor, 5, 10 with 5, 9, 10.
And myself, I went for a triactor in here. I took the 10 on top, and with the 1, 2, 5, 6, 9, with the 1, 2, 5, 6, 9, yes, I left Swiss Skydiver out, or I put it in my triactor, left it out of my top 3, but I'm just hoping that the prices get second and third, because Monomoy Girl is my best bet of the weekend. That'll cost you $20. Good luck in the distaff. On to race number 11, the Turf, a mile and a half, a field of 10. Go postward, and Marshall, you're going to start us off.
Well, this is a race I'm really looking forward to. Fabulous field here. I'm going to go right to the horse that I picked on top. That's Magical. This horse, total class of the field. Aidan O'Brien has won this race 6 times before. I think it's also telling. He's got 2 horses in here. It's also telling to me that Ryan Moore picks the 2 instead of the 10. Mogul, another good 3-year-old turfer. So I think this is Magical's race to lose. This will be her final race before her retirement. I think she goes out on top. She has been in this race before. She ran second to Enable, and I just think she towers above this field. If I was going to look at another horse in here, and I do think that there's another Euro that if there is someone that could give her a run for the money, that's the 3, Tarnawa. This is a horse that's won 3 in a row, 3 for 5 at the distance. This is the only horse that I think has a shot to beat her. I used the 10 Mogul for third. Again, this is a stablemate of Magical. First time this 3-year-old will be facing older, and from what I've read, the 3-year-old British horses, they aren't that great this year, but this horse does seem to have some upside. Has experience racing left-handed as well, which I like, so I'll use this horse for third. It's all the Euros, though, for me: 2, 3, and 10.
Okay, what about you, Stretch?
All right, it's taken me 13 races, I believe, to not put a Euro on top. That would be silly if I did not put a Euro on top. That being said, there's 6 of 10 in here are Euro, so and they are the top ones in this race for sure. It's going to be a tactical race. It's not the easiest to figure out race shape, but you're going 1.5 miles, so you just have to keep yourself kind of out of trouble or be ready to run. This is my favorite Euro on the card, and that's the 3. Marshall made some good points on the 2. I'm taking a bit of a shot on the 3 here. I think, again, I've used the word before already, is the now horse. I liked how the horse is spaced, the trainer has spaced out the races coming in. The last effort was solid, 3 of 5 at the distance. It just, look at the only one that has multiple or has 3 wins in this race. Other than the 1 in here, so that's so important to me. That's why I've moved that horse to the top pick. In the 1.25 mile race, if you watch the replay, I thought the horse was just getting going at 1.25 miles, so would have won by more if this race was the last replay was longer. Had to use that. Marshall made a great point on the 10. I did put the 10 for second. Same kind of angle on the distance and everything. Interesting on which one Moore picked. So that would hesitate to me to maybe move up my pick. How can you not use the 3? The horse is there. Top selection. Again, 3 weeks coming in, probably enough time on that. 12 of 26 lifetime. You mentioned how the retiring after this. Don't leave it out. The one North American horse that I've got to add that could maybe help in the try, so it's not all Euros, would be the 1, as mentioned. 3 wins at the distance, 6 of 10 in the top 2. It is a mile and a half. Does make a difference. So 3, 10, 2.
Yeah, I'm with Marshall here. I like Magical a lot. She is classed by a mile. Over $1.4 million, or just around there, at the distance only, and comes off a good 3rd place finish. She's predominantly ran against the boys her whole life, a couple times against the girls, running those races against Enable. I just think she's heads and shoulders above most of these in here, but will be a short price. I also like number 6, Lord North. 2 outs ago ran a good race against Magical, but lost a shoe in that race. So, and was a little bit too far back last time out. Absolutely horrified. 10th beaten 13, but gets that additional Lasix. Has been running well previous to that. Had 3 wins before losing the shoe and losing to Magical. And then the last time out, just absolutely showed nothing. Maybe the Lasix is the key there, so I expect Lord North to move forward. Also, number 7, United. Here's another horse that I haven't taken many from California. This one comes from Santa Anita, a couple seconds, going the distance in 2 tries. But what I like is this horse does have some speed to offer to the race. Might get a good trip in there. And because having that speed angle, just might be able to get loose. If not, it can come from off the pace, as it showed. It's been well respected in every single start. A lot of those being only grade 2s, but I just like the way the horse is running, so that's my 3rd selection. I took 2, 6, and 7. Okay, Stretch, what's your bet of the race?
All right, I've got 30 to win on the 3. Beth, is Beth around? I need to make a change.
There is no Beth.
All right, so if there's no Beth, I'll leave it at 30, win 3.
All right, what about you, Marshall?
I'm going to box the 2 top choices in here. $20 exacta box 2-3. If I decide maybe go a little bit stronger on the 2-3 combo, $30 exactor 2-3, $10 exactor 3-2. But I think those are the only 2 horses in the race.
You can't. There's no Beth. You can't change your bets apparently.
No doing that. Beth is on holidays.
Okay.
And myself, I went for a $10 daily double wheel. I took my top 3 selections, 2, 6, and 7, went straight to the 8 horse in the next leg. Improbable. Good luck in the turf. And last but not least, race number 12. This is the Classic, 1.25 miles on the dirt, a field of 10. Go postward, and Marshall, you're going to tell us who you like.
Okay, I think this is a really good running of the Breeders' Cup Classic. Always my favorite race of the year. Looks like there's the potential for a bit of a duel in here, maybe between Authentic, who I think will take quite a bit of money. He is facing older horses for the first time, and he's had a tough campaign. Those last few races have all been pretty tough races. 2 back, he did have a loose lead, but last time out, had to duel right to the wire with Swiss Skydiver, who we'll see earlier on the card. In here, I think Maximum Security is the question mark, is the unknown. This horse last time out was compromised by a very fast pace up front, which also benefited his stablemate Improbable, the 8. Today, I wonder if Maximum Security can get loose. This horse has been an incredible win machine over the past 2 years. 10 for 13 lifetime. Did have that hiccup when he transferred into the Bob Baffert barn, but since then he's got a couple of starts, 2 wins and a second, and I think a lot of people will throw him out because of that last race, but I give him a shot in here. And my top choice is actually Tis the Law. This horse last time out, I think it was compromised by Authentic being alone on the lead. Has never run a bad race though. This horse has done everything they've asked of him. If he runs back to that Saratoga race, the Traverse, I think everyone else is running for second. He's going to stalk. He's got good tactical speed. I think he'll stalk and work out a good trip. So I used him on top. Maximum Security for second, and Improbable. Well, this horse has run 3 fabulous races in a row. Baffert has this guy running the best races of his career. Would not surprise me at all. I'm using 2, 8, and 10 and everything. 2, 10, and 8 are my top 3 picks, though.
Okay, what about you, Stretch?
All right, you're right. Closing it off, the marathon of the 14 races. Hopefully we've got something left for this race because it is going to be a good one. I've got it down as a match race between the 2 and the 8. I gave the 8 a slight lean based on the last race on how easily he made it look. He just toyed with the field, flew by the 10 in that race with no effort at all. I think it's sitting on a repeat effort. There's no chance, well, not no chance, but I doubt the horse is going to regress after such an easy victory. He just did not look like a loser in that race. Marshall made the point, hard to go against the 2. I could have switched the picks 2 or 8, 8 or 2. I just went slightly with the 8 higher just because of maybe one more race in there for the 2. Hasn't had a bad race. Figures are there. Don't leave it out. The reason I downgraded the 10 is I think this horse is better on the lead, and if the 9 goes to the lead, that hurts the 10's chances, and that's what happened last time. So that's why I had to downgrade. I did include the 9 as my 3rd pick, simply because we know this horse has got to go to the lead. There's the figures there. It has been a long meet, so we'll see if there's anything left in the tank on this horse, but if they give this horse a bit of a loose lead, that's basically how the 2 lost to him last time. So I can't discount that horse completely. I've got it 8, 2, 9, and then you can't leave out the 10, pure talent. There you go.
Yeah, myself, Improbable. What a race last time out. This horse started on in 2020, ran an okay race, running second. And then since then, the horse got better and better and better. And last time really showed what he was worth. When he made that move, it was so easy. And to beat Maximum Security the way that he did, so impressed me that I'm making Improbable one of my bigger plays of the weekend. I think he's going to get the job done. Authentic Maximum Security, I expect those 2 to do some battling. So the 4 horse, I think, who had the bad trip last time out, stumbled at the break, Tom's Datat, that horse has been running lights out all year long. Even beat Improbable 3 outs ago at Oaklawn Park when it was Improbable's first start of the year. So I think that horse will run well. Maximum Security, my 3rd choice, and 'Tis the Law is my 4th choice in there. But I'm all over Improbable in the BC Classic. And okay, bets of the race. What do you got there, Marshall?
Yeah, the bets. I just want to mention one thing, Kurt. Actually, you brought up the 4, and one of the stats I came across that I found very interesting was that I think this horse may be forgotten, although it might be the reverse, and the horse might take quite a bit of money. But anyway, 7-year-old. I will tell you guys this: no horse older than age 5 has ever won the Classic. So that's quite interesting to me. Of course, the 4 is 7. So my bets in this race, I'm going to box the 3 horses that I like. $5 exacta box, 2, 8, and 10, cost you $30.
Okay, Stretch, what about you?
Okay, 2 things. Of course, stats. Marshall had to throw in that stat just before we cap this off. One thing on for your bet, it's one of your better plays, Kurt, and that's so important that people realize is you've got to make sure you budget your money throughout. The worst case is your best bet is in the last race of the day, and you've got nothing left. The horse wins, and you could have got out on the day. So just kind of remember that. Kurt always has ways to get that extra few dollars if he needs it.
Well, I could borrow it off Marshall.
There you go, for sure, after his Euro wins early. I've got a $10 exacta wheel, 2, 8 with 2, 8, 9, 10.
I'm straight on the win, 30 to win on Improbable, and if I'm doing well, that'll be a much more sizable bet going into the Classic. All right, let's get to our late pick 4 tickets. Marshall, races 9 through 12. You start us off.
Okay, well, I like the sequence. I think the toughest leg is actually the first leg, so I'm going to go pretty deep in here. I've got 1, 2, 4, 6, 9, 11, pretty much everybody we've talked about. And then I'm using 5 and 10 with 2 and 3 and 2, 8, and 10 to close things off. You can bet a 60 center. I'm doing a $1 one for $72.
Okay, what about you, Stretch?
Very similar ticket, depending if at 60 cents I could take even more horses, but I've got 2, 5, 11, 14. With 5 and 10, I think that's as solid as you get there. I took a few more horses, 1, 2, 3, 10, and then I just took 2 and 8 in the last. Very similar ticket. I agree, it's a great sequence to end it. Kurt?
And myself, I got 1, 2, 3, 9, 11. Then I keyed the 10 with the 1, 2, 6, 7. And I rounded out with the 4 and 8. That'll cost you $40. Best of luck. And that'll wrap it up for our Breeders' Cup edition. Guys, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, you've got to remember that these shows were done before, and basically follow us on Twitter. Mitch does a great job. He's editing the shows and helped us out, and does a great job. So stay tuned. We might have a few late changes, a couple scratches throughout. So the show's not over. Watch us live. Follow us live during Friday and Saturday.
We'd like to thank everybody for joining us for this special Breeders' Cup edition of ASD Live.